Good evening. I now call the December 2nd reorganization meeting of the Wallingford-Swarthmore School Board to order. We have 4 members of our board present here tonight, and I have an announcement. All Verizon Fios public access channels are currently down in this area. This includes Channel 38, which usually broadcasts WSSD board meetings. The meeting will be broadcast on Comcast, and a video recording of tonight's meeting will be available on the district's website within a couple days. I'd like to take a roll call of our holdover school board directors. When I say your name, please say here. Dr. Grandy? Here. Dr. Huff? Here. Mr. Orsetti? Here. And Mrs. Walkman? Would everyone please rise and join me in the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So, written notice of this reorganization meeting was mailed to each of our school board directors on November 11th, 2019, and it read, "Please be advised that the reorganization meeting of the Wallingford-Swarthmore School Board of School Directors will be held on Monday, December 2nd, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Strathaven Middle School Library." Next on our agenda, we have time for audience recognition. If there's anyone here to have any questions about items on our agenda for action tonight, would you please go to the podium and state your name and address, please?
Hi, I'm Bill Foster. I reside at 412 Strathaven Avenue in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. So this is a reorganization night, and you're going to get some new school board members. And so I just want to point out the obvious, because it's pretty important. All of your meetings and the duties and powers of school directors, the nature of your votes, what you vote on, it's all defined by Pennsylvania law. And until you take on local office, you may not really understand when people say that state government is actually more powerful than federal government's true. It's so pervasive in our lives that we often don't notice, like how many people are allowed to sit in this room and how wide the doors need to be and how high the stop signs, whether you get to decide whether the children wear school uniforms, exactly when the school day will start and finish, how much people get paid. It's a big deal. And so I would encourage all of you from time to time to read the manual. So look at the school code. And if you can convince the school district to spend the $1,300, get the version that has the annotations in it that no doubt your school solicitor has, because it has footnotes in it, and it has case law, and it defines, what it means at a higher level, and it can be really helpful. And so also tonight you're going to have committee assignments, and some of the best committees to be on are the ones where you meet other school directors. So if you go to an intermediate unit, you'll get to learn what's going on in other school districts, because being a school director, just like any other thing in this world, it requires experience and work. There's really no shortcut to being good at it. You have to think about it and understand it and practice it. And believe it or not, in local government, you're never alone. So when I was a school director, on a couple of occasions, unfortunately, I had occasion to call the district attorney and talk to him about items of concern. And he picks up the phone, or she will pick up the phone. You're really not alone. You have a lot of people you can draw on, including other school directors, including district attorneys and assistant district attorneys, and judges. So there's a lot of experience in local government, and you should totally avail yourself of that experience, because it can be a very rich process. And remember, at the end of the day, even though I said you're not alone, all you have is your vote. And so don't give it away. It means something. So when you vote, think about it. Don't just say, well, the president said I should vote this way, or I don't know. It's all you have is your vote. So thanks very much. And congratulations.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address our board before we move on? Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is nominations for temporary president. May I have a nomination for temporary president?
I'd like to nominate Marilyn Huff as temporary president.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Walkman. Are there any other nominations for a temporary president? Okay, hearing none. As the nominations are closed and Marilyn Huff is the only candidate nominated, I move for Dr. Huff's election by acclamation for the position of temporary president. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Okay, and I get the joy of presiding over the seating of the newly elected and re-elected members of the board. So to start that off, the Delaware County Board of Elections has certified the election of the following individuals to serve on the Wallingford-Swarthmore School District's Board of School Directors. And please stand as I call your name. Mr. Jerry Ballas was duly elected to the Office of School Director, Region 3, for a 4-year term. Ms. Chapin Semino was duly elected to the Office of School Director, Region 1, for a 4-year term. Dr. Michelle Downey was duly elected to the Office of School Director, Region 2, for a 4-year term. Mr. Lawrence Kudis was duly elected to the Office of School Director, Region 2, 4-year term. And Mrs. Jennifer Lentz was duly elected to the Office of School Director, Region 3, 4-year term. And we are lucky enough tonight to have Judge Debbie Kroll with us tonight to help with the seating of our new board members. And we're very lucky to have her here because she is very busy. Judge Kroll has been practicing law since 1994 and was initially elected magisterial district judge in 2013. Before that time, she was very active in the community, serving on Media Borough Council, the boards of the Pennsylvania Veterans Museum, the School of Rose Valley, Media Theater, and the Media Arts Council. So thank you for coming out tonight and lending us the gravitas that this ceremony so duly deserves. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Kroll to seat our new and re-elected board members.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here. I'd like to congratulate, first of all the newly elected school directors. It's especially fun for me to be here this evening because I actually shared the ballot with you this time around. So I know how hard it is running for election for this position.
Judge Kroll, I'm going to ask you to stay at the microphone.
Oh. Well, I won't repeat what I said. I know you all heard me. I know how hard it is that you all work, and I know how hard your families worked to help you get elected, so congratulations to all of you. We're going to start with Mr. Jerry Ballas. And now I need to move over here and watch that thing. Mr. Ballas, is someone holding a Bible for you?
No.
No? Would you like me to apply?
Please.
Okay. Do you want to swear or affirm?
What's the difference?
Swear. Swear. Okay. Repeat after me, okay? Raise your right hand, please. Or left hand, that's fine. Raise your right hand. Yeah, you're good. Repeat after me. I, Jerry Ballas,
I, Jerry Bowers,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you need to sign here. Sign there. December 12th, 2nd, excuse me. I also going to give you your certificate of election, which we got from the county. That's for you to take,
Thank you.
okay? And I'm gonna seal this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chapin Smino. Would you like to swear or affirm? I'll swear. Okay, do you want me to hold this for you? Sure. Or do you want someone else to hold it for you? Okay, okay. Repeat after me. I, Chapin Smino,
I, Chapin Semino,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sign, date. Okay. We'll seal this. In the meantime, I also have to give you your certificate. This came from the County of Delaware. That's for you. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
You have a lot to do tonight. I'll hold on to this for her.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Dr. Michelle Downey. Is anyone holding this for you? This side? Do you want to swear or affirm? It doesn't really matter. Swearing is sometimes people don't want to swear, but they swear. Okay. Put your hand on the Bible, raise your other hand, and repeat after me. I, Michelle Downey,
I, Michelle Downey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations. So you need to sign and date. Signature here, there. It is the second. Okay. And I'm going to give you your certificate from the Commonwealth. Go get your photo. There we go. Put your hand on the Bible. Okay, you ready? And repeat after me. I, Lawrence Kudis,
I, Lawrence Kudis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
you.
Sorry.
Actually wasn't there.
Yeah, okay. So you need to sign here.
Bean board? I know.
Just a second. Okay, I will seal this. I'm going to give you a certificate from the County of Delaware. Okay? Certifying the election. That's for you to keep. Congratulations again. So that's sealed. I'll put this in the secretary.
Thank you.
And Jennifer Letts. Do you want to swear or affirm? You swear, okay. Hi, folks. And who is holding this? All of you together? Great. Great. And repeat after me. I, Jennifer Lentz,
I, Jennifer Lentz,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Francis, Lynch, you need to sign. Okay. Oops. Oh, good catch. So sign here and date. There's a pen here somewhere. Use the black one. Yeah, use it. Second. And this is your certification of election from the County of Delaware? Yeah.
All right.
And they're all sealed.
Excellent. Thank you, Judge Kroll, and
Thank you,
welcome
folks. Thanks for having me.
to our new board members. And I would like to invite all of our new board members to come and take a seat at the table. By the next board meeting, there will be nameplates, but for today, choose one. Thank you again. So welcome. Okay. And now that we have a full board, we need to elect officers for the ensuing year. May I have a nomination for the office of president?
I would like to nominate Dr. David Grandy for president.
Are there any other nominations for president? Okay. Hearing none, I declare the nominations closed. As the nominations are closed and Dr. Grandy is the only candidate nominated, I move for Dr. Grandy's election by acclamation for the office of president. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, then Dr. Grandy is elected president in a vote of 9-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. So we move on to nominations for vice president. May I have a nomination for the office of vice president? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I declare the nominations are closed. As the nominations are closed and Mrs. Walkman is the only candidate nominated, I move for Mrs. Walkman's election by acclamation for office of Vice President. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? And Mrs. Walkman is elected 9-0. Congratulations. Moving on to nominations for Assistant Board Secretary. May I have a nomination for office of Assistant Board Secretary?
I would like to nominate Dr. Michelle Downey.
Are there any other nominations for office of Assistant Board Secretary? Hearing none, I declare the nominations are closed. As the nominations are closed and Dr. Downey is the only candidate nominated, I move for Dr. Downey by acclamation for office of Assistant Board Secretary. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Congratulations, Ms. Downey. Now, we do have a vacant position of treasurer with my election to the board presidency, and so we do need to fill that position this evening. May I have a nomination for the office of treasurer?
I would like to nominate Mr. Larry Kudis.
Are there any other nominations for the office of treasurer? Hearing none, I declare the nominations are closed. As the nominations are closed and Mr. Kudis is the only candidate nominated, I move for Mr. Kudis by acclamation for office of treasurer. And all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? And Mr. Kudis is elected 9-0. Congratulations. One additional item is that with the me leaving the office of treasurer and Mr. Kudis filling that position, we need to create the new signature stamp. So the second item is the authorization of the use of the signature stamp that we currently have until a new one is received. May I have a motion to authorize the use of the existing signature stamp until a new one is prepared reflecting the board's new officers?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? The motion passes 9-0. Moving on. Included on our agenda is a listing of in-district committee representatives and out-of-district representatives. These appointments are made by the president and do not require board action, though we will review them this evening. So allow me to read off our appointment of in-district representatives. First on the Finance Committee is Mr. Ballas, Dr. Huff, Mr. Kudis, and Mrs. Walkman. On the Policy Committee is Ms. Semino, Mrs. Lentz, Mr. Orsetti. Sleep and School Start Time Committee, Dr. Downey, myself, Dr. Grandy, Mr. Orsetti, and Mrs. Walkman. And on the Workload Commission, Dr. Huff and Mr. Orsetti. And on the Wellness Committee, Dr. Huff and Mrs. Lentz. The out-of-district representatives, first is the Delaware County Community College representative. That will be Mr. Ballas. Second is the Delaware County Intermediate Unit. That will be Dr. Downey. Third is the Delaware County School Board Legislative Council, and that will be Ms. Semino. And finally, the PSBA liaison will be Mrs. Lentz. So thank you all for your service in these important roles. Next, we move on to the approval of school board meetings for December 2019 and calendar year 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the school board meetings for December 2019 and calendar year 2020?
So moved.
Mr. Ballas, a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walkman. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? The motion passes 9-0. At this point, I want to invite any school board members that wish to make a comment at this time.
I actually wasn't going to say anything, but I decided that I will. After serving as board president for 2 years, I am happy to see leadership transition to others, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new leadership work together to lead this district in a forward direction. So thank you all for stepping up, and welcome to all the new board members.
I just wanted to welcome all the new board members, or new again board members. I think this is a really outstanding board, and we bring a lot of good strengths that complement each other, and I think it's going to be a good couple years.
Sure. Ms. Walkman.
I'd also like to welcome all of our new and returning board members, but I also want to say thank you to Dr. Huff for her leadership over the past 2 years. We have, as many school districts have, we've had a lot to work through over the last 2 years, and Dr. Huff has done a wonderful job leading us while also serving in multiple different capacities, different committees, and so forth. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Any other comments? So I'll just add, first, again, I want to echo what other board members have said and really thank Dr. Huff for her service over the last 2 years. She certainly led us through a lot of challenging issues over the last couple of years and leaves very big shoes to fill. So thank you, Dr. Huff. I'll also say to our new board members, congratulations. But more importantly, I want to really say how much gratitude I have for you stepping up into this important role. We have an outstanding district, but we also have a lot of work to do to make sure our district continues to thrive long into the future. And so I really do appreciate you stepping up into this role. And then finally, to the entire board and the administration, I personally really look forward to working with you all over the next year. And so thank you. Any other comments?
Comment, I spent 3 years on the board a few years ago, and it was a tremendous experience. And I appreciate the opportunity to join the group again and hopefully contribute. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, to both enjoyment and to meeting our challenges.
Thank you. Dr. Palmer, do you have any comments?
I do have brief comments. Thank you, Dr. Grandy. On behalf of the students and the staff of the Wallingford-Swarthmore School District, thank you to all of you for your service to us and your commitment, and in some cases, continued commitment to the entire Wallingford-Swarthmore community. And to the community, I'd like to remind everyone that based on the agenda that was approved tonight, our next board meeting will take place Monday, December 9th at 7 p.m. in this room. And Dr. Grandy, President Grandy, congratulations.
Thank you. At this time, we have time for comments from the audience for things that were not on the agenda for this evening. Does anyone have a comment they would like to make? Okay.
Hey, so I just wanted to give you an update on, do I need to repeat who I am and my address for my second round? William Foster,
Sure.
412 Strathaven Avenue, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. So before, Susan Kelly and I had come and spoken on behalf of the multi-municipal EAC group about the electric vehicle charging grant program that was a result of the VW emissions scandal settlement. And I just want to give you an update on that grant. So that grant closed for a 2-week period in the middle of November because it was becoming so popular that the Department of Environmental Protection decided that they needed to halt it and look at the cash flow and decide how to reauthorize it at what level. And so as of today, they came out with new guidelines. And the good news is it's almost as high as it was. So to get the grant, you have to have a minimum of 2 charging stations. And previously, the grant amount would be up to $10,000 for that, whereas now it's $9,000. And whether, so in the past, we had communicated that that would not cover connecting the charging station to electrical service. However, in this current program, it can cover the connecting to electrical service and upgrading of electrical service. It can cover lighting for public access, signage. It can cover prepaid maintenance. So you have some choices you can make in the rebate. And this is authorized now through 2020, but as soon as 750 stations are installed in the Commonwealth, that's it, it's done. So it is first come, first served, and it looks like the popularity is growing. As we mentioned last time, Swarthmore Borough had put in a couple of stations, which you can go and take a look at. Another thing to keep in mind is also under the Driving PA Forward grant, and all of this, just to go back to remind you, we live in a non-attainment area, so we're chronically over the limits for small particle pollution and, in the hotter months, ozone. And these grants really are focused on reducing air pollution, especially in areas like this. And electric vehicles can certainly help with that. So another thing to keep in mind is if the district has any kind of uses for vehicles that are like cars that go from building to building, they could be facilities, cars, it could be school psychologists or special education or teachers with split schedules that go from school to school, maybe AM kindergarten somewhere and PM elsewhere. If there's ever a need for vehicles, there's also, under the Driving PA Forward program, Alternative Fuels Incentive Grant Program. And so what that does is if the school district were to buy an electric vehicle, it pays up to $5,000 for the difference in price additional for the electric vehicle as opposed to a traditional vehicle. So that's another thing that you can consider as part of cleaning up in the air. And also, to repeat, it's not just helping air quality, but it's definitely helping CO2 emissions, which is increasingly important for us to do. So thanks very much. And again, congratulations on joining the school board and reorganizing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.